There are three sectors that have stayed relatively flat this month: detached, townhouses, and now semi-detached homes. Semis actually increased by about $5,000 from the month prior. Now this report tells me that semis are doing not bad, but how long is that going to last? Hi, my name's Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. So here are the numbers for semi-detached homes for the month of December. Now, today we're just going to look at semis, so if you're looking for another property type, just make sure to browse my channel for those other videos. So let's begin with the full year-to-date stats package for semis both this year and last year. Now, semis are super interesting in Calgary. They actually fluctuate a lot more than other property types here. And as an example, from January to March, you can see a price increase of $57,000. That's an increase of about $14,000 every month for 4 months straight. From there, it starts to decrease as higher interest rates really do slow down the market, and then they start to stabilize in Q4. Now, semi-detached homes span from $250,000 entry level all the way up to over $1 million. Now, it's pretty crazy to see less than 100 sales in this space. That is the lowest sales out of every sector, with townhouses coming in second place at 187 sales for the month of December. Pretty low. Next, check out the average sold price point. Now, throughout the year, $584,000 in March, $540,000 in May, June, dropping down to $512, then to $507, and jumping up in October all the way back to $587,000 average sold price once again, really to just drop back to $548. Now, I will say detached homes have similar movement, but they are not nearly this jumpy. All right, so I like this next graph as it helps visualize what happened in 2022. Now, semis are the most fun to report on because, as you can see here, crazy price growth in the first 2 quarters. The third quarter was all declines, and then the fourth quarter is where it's somewhat stabilized. So let's put that into layman's terms. Semis increased by $57,000 in Q1, Q2, and then they decreased by $21,000 in the second half. In total, semis are still up by $36,000 compared to January, but they are actually up $60,000 when you compare to December of last year, and I'll touch on that in a bit. Now, this is a sector that I really don't try to put too much predictions on because semis are a little bit of a different one, and they're quite unique. Semis are a great stepping stone for many people. People who want to enter the market at the lowest possible price point yet still have their own assets and not want to pay condo fees. They're great for those who want to inch into a luxury lifestyle but stay within a reasonable budget, and for those who actually want to go into that ultra luxury lifestyle, they can do that for quite a bit less than an equivalent luxury home that is a fully detached house. So therefore, semis are very unique in nature. Okay, so this chart here showcases the semi-detached market for each quadrant in Calgary. Now, this is going to help us understand what's going on around the city. Now, first thing that I really want to note here is that these are some pretty small numbers for quadrants as large as Calgary. You can see 4 quadrants sold under 10 units, whereas the highest amount of units sold was in the city center. Now, 22 sales, which is not horrible, really isn't much. So if you plan on buying or selling a semi-detached home ever, I would recommend looking at the stats closer, as you can really use them to your advantage with the right strategy. Now, months of supply in this sector is still favoring the seller in most areas. Now, I would argue people might argue, that the city center and Calgary West are starting to inch towards a buyer's market, or could even be in a buyer's market. But given the fact that with everything moving as quickly as it has been, if you price your listing correctly, it will sell within the first 30 days. Next, here is the price for each quadrant, and look at the benchmark price, $800,000 in the city center. Whereas if you go to Calgary East, less than a 10-minute drive from downtown, there are houses in that area that are only selling for $289,000. Now, talk about a price gap. Next, you can see some of the increases year over year. And luckily, Calgary East got the biggest bump with 16%. And finally, the month over month averages. Now, apparently the average for this sector for the month of December is 0.04% increase. Now, these are great to look at, but you have to be watching these for many months in a row to start to get that full picture of what's actually going on here. Just coming in this once and just seeing those small percentages in 1 month really don't mean much, but if you start to see them every month, then they equate to something larger. So last on the list is the yearly summary stats for 2022 compared to 2021. Now, I'm going to concentrate on the right-hand side of this image. Now, first, let's check out the sales. We actually had fewer sales this year than we did last year. Pretty interesting. New listings actually fell this year, which is kind of crazy to see considering the market was pretty hot. You would almost think that people would try to capitalize on this market a little bit more. 75% of listings sold, same as last year. And semis on average got 100% of list price, which is really good to see. Days on market dropped quite a bit. It dropped all the way down to 29 days. So really, if we move along to the benchmark price, you can see that there was a $60,000 increase, as I spoke about earlier on in this recap. Now, all in all, semis are up quite a bit from last year, but it will be very interesting to watch over the winter months as the market just in general goes down, as the market slows down. Last year, we actually had a crazy uptick in the market, as you can see in January, February. So it will be very interesting to see what the year-over-year percentages will be. Personally, I believe that Calgary will have yet another busy year, especially in that lower price points of $600,000 and below. Now, of course, outside economic factors will need to be considered over the next few months, but if all continues in kind of the same direction that we're currently going in, I wouldn't be shocked if semis held their ground and maybe even had a small increase this year. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and continue to receive this high quality insight all throughout 2023. So with that, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.